Well, folks, President Trump has announced he is moving forward with tariffs on Mexico and on Canada that are expected to go into force next week, the first week of March. Obviously, we know these tariffs were supposed to go into effect last month. They got delayed when a last minute deal was made with some concessions to the United States from Mexico and Canada. The tariffs on China did move forward at that point. But here's the big question. Are these tariffs really just about punishing Mexico and Canada, or are they a part of a bigger strategy? It's really hard to tell sometimes with President Trump what the big picture is here. Is it a specific issue with these countries? Is this a broader plan for his reciprocal tariffs at this point? We've got a lot to break down here and try and go through the weeds here. But if you're new here, drop down below, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you never miss another video from our channel in the future. So President Trump, he held, let's just take a listen into this real quick. Held a press conference with Emmanuel Macron, and he started talking about tariffs. Let's just take a listen here real quick.
Tariffs, and it seems like that's moving along very rapidly. We've been mistreated very badly by many countries, not just Canada and Mexico. We've been taken advantage of. We were led by, in some cases, fools, because anybody that would sign documents like they signed, where they were able to take advantage of the American people, like has happened over the last long period of time, except for a little 4-year period that took place 4 years ago. But anybody that would agree to allow this to happen to our country should be ashamed of themselves. No, the tariffs are going forward on time, on schedule. This is an abuse that took place for many, many years. And I'm not even blaming the other countries that did this. I blame our leadership for allowing it to happen. I mean, who can blame them if they made these great deals with the United States, took advantage of the United States on manufacturing, on just about everything. Every aspect that you can imagine they took advantage of. I look at some of these agreements, I'd read them at night, and I'd say, who would ever sign a thing like this? So the tariffs will go forward, yes, and we're going to make up a lot of territory. All we want is reciprocal. We want reciprocity. We want to have.
So it's like there's a lot you can dig into here, and I guess you can just start. And you kind of have to split them up into Mexico and Canada because they're very two different entities in itself, and putting tariffs on them are two completely different conversations you almost need to have. Let's first talk about Mexico. Border security, that's a big one. Mexico, Trump's going to say border security when it comes to the same thing with fentanyl and border security with Canada, but here's the reality. About, I think, like 11 or 12% of all border patrol apprehensions occur at the northern border, which means that about 90% of them occur at the southern border. So very, very little relative to the overall amount of apprehensions we have come through from the Canadian side. Second thing is the amount of fentanyl that's seized. I'm trying to see if I have the data here in front of me. Here we go. So in fiscal year 2024, the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol seized 21,143 pounds of fentanyl. Of that 21,143, 43 pounds came from the Canadian border. So that is 0.1% of all the fentanyl that came into the United States that was apprehended came from Canada. There's obviously a very big disproportion between what comes through Mexico and what comes through Canada. So I just have a hard time with, let's talk about Canada in a minute, but let's stay on Mexico here. I'm kind of getting all over the place, but I just wanted to put those facts out there so you know what the numbers are when we're talking about this. Now, when it comes to Mexico, Trump has been very clear. He wants Mexico to step up, stop the flow of illegal immigration, and stop the drug smuggling that comes into the country. It's not just about building a border wall. You talk about the cartels. The cartels have people that are paid off, that are Customs and Border Patrol agents. They most likely have tunnels. We know they have tunnels that are underneath, whether it's 30, 40 feet in the ground, tunnels that these smugglers use to get on to the other side of the border. Some with running electricity that are in them. Now, Trump wants to target the cartels. And it's not just about immigration. It's about national security. On Mexico, these tariffs are economic pressure that is a way to make Mexico take care of the border security, take care of the cartels, take care of the drugs that are coming into the country. To stop the illegal migration that comes from the southern Mexico, they come from South America, and to travel through Mexico, you need to stop them at the southern border of Mexico first. Because it's not just about money, it's about safety and sovereignty. We should not be invaded. These are some of our closest allies. This is what the Democrats say. These are some of our closest allies. Why are we going to go to war with them? Well, why are our closest allies, especially Mexico, allowing millions of illegal migrants to band together in caravans and trek through Mexico to get to the United States? How neighborly is that? It's almost like if someone broke into your neighbor's house and they said, well, my neighbor down the street actually has more things than I do. They're right down that way. It's what a joke. Because this is leverage to President Trump. And I've said this multiple times in other videos. Tariffs are about leverage. Trump does not care about tariffs. Trump cares about leverage, and tariffs give him leverage. That's it. Trump uses tariffs as a negotiation tool. It's worked with China, and I bet it's going to work with Mexico and Canada. And we're going to get to Canada here in a minute. But he's sending a message. If you want access to the American market, if you want to take your products and sell them in the most competitive market, the largest market in the world, you need to play fair. No more one-sided deals. No more sending illegal migrants into our country. No more sending drugs into our country. No more the cartels are controlling the border. Not going to happen. And let's be honest, when was the last time we had a president who had balls like this, who was willing to play hardball? That's what we need. We need a president who is willing to play hardball. That is exactly what we need. Now, and this is just Trump. This is his negotiation style. This is how he gets things done. He's a businessman. He's trading international trade as a negotiation. People just cannot seem to comprehend that. So that's with Mexico. Now, when we get to Canada, I have a much different take on it. I don't know what Trump's end goal is here, if I'm being 100% honest. Now, and Trump said at the end of his remarks here that it's about reciprocity. Now, because we don't really know, Trump's talked about he had his initial plan to put tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China, but then he also had his plan for reciprocal tariffs. So, just going based off the end of this video here, I'd say that this is based on reciprocal tariffs. He's putting these in place, which would mean that, if we buy any tobacco from Canada, we need to put a 100% tariff on them because they have a 100% tariff on us. They have a 250% tariff on all of our dairy products. So do we need to do that to them? Or is this just the broad 25% tariffs that were supposed to go into effect a month ago? We really don't, I'm just guessing because of what he said in the statement, but I don't have any factual information where the White House has said it's part of the reciprocal tariff plan. And by the time this video gets out in a couple hours, they could have released stuff. So, but as of right now, I don't have any information that says, yes, this is part of the reciprocal tariff plan, or this is part of the initial plan to tariff Mexico and Canada. Because the thing is the reciprocal tariffs were not supposed to really start to go into effect until April. So I don't know what, because the thing with Canada is illegal immigration is very limited relative to the amount of illegal migration that comes into the United States. Borders, cartels, drugs, it's so minimal. You're looking at 1/5 of 1% of the total fentanyl apprehended by Border Patrol. What could this be? It's there's a couple things I think that Trump could be going after here. I think that Trump, he says that he wants to get rid of the income tax and replace it with tariffs. That, that could be. And I don't know. He wants to return us to the greatness of how we were at the turn of the 20th century, or would that be the turn of the 19th century or the turn of the 20th century? We're going from the 19th to the 20th, back when William McKinley was president. No income tax. The majority of the revenue was from tariffs. But here's the thing, and he's really targeting Canada, some cost advantages that Canadian companies or businesses have over American companies, saying that if Canada's going to subsidize their industries there by not taxing them, we're going to even the playing field with tariffs for stuff that comes into the United States. And he talks about how it's protecting American energy producers and unfair competition. And I understand that. But I agree with reciprocal tariffs, but just putting tariffs on Canada just to put tariffs on Canada, I don't get it. I don't fully, I get it where initially he was trying to bully them into border security. I get that. Now what is it? Is it for a better free trade agreement? Is it because Trump wants no income tax? Does Trump want to bully Canada into submission to become the 51st state? I think Canada is a very unique situation. I think Trump sees the 51st state as somewhat of a strategic play. Now, and this is just kind of my thoughts. I don't know if this is exactly how he thinks about it, but it's about influence and it's about leverage. Trump says that the goal is to keep Mexico and Canada economically tied to the United States. And he wants to do that by making their economies more dependent on U.S. trade, keeping them in America's orbit. But if these economies rely on the United States, it's more likely they're going to start to align with policies that are more in line with the United States. We want Mexico and Canada to buy more of our product. And if they don't want to, I really think that Trump could be trying to bully Canada into submission where, we're going to tariff the hell out of you. You're going to try and tariff the hell out of us. Our economy is 15 times the size of yours. You are going to spin into an economic free fall long before our economy is going to do that. And then he could maybe create this situation, then give him a lifeline. Okay, here, become the 51st state. There's no tariffs. I think that's a big play, especially when it comes to more territory in the Arctic Circle that allows more United States military bases to be placed in the Arctic Circle. You talk about the resources and the minerals that are in Canada, the rare earth minerals that are in the ground in Canada. You talk about that. That for the same reason Trump wants to go after Greenland. I think that's a huge thing where Canada has a lot of natural resources that could be a big power play for the United States. It's strategic. And to me, I think it is about America first. In having control of the Arctic, there's a lot of shipping lanes there. We want to make sure that if Russia or China is trying to meddle with the United States, it allows us more territory, more land, to really have an idea of exactly what's going on there. So with Canada, I don't think it's about border security. I really do think it's about tariffs. I think when Trump looks at the tariffs that Canada has on the United States, like I said, what was it? 250% tariff on dairy products. They also have a 240% tariff on poultry, chicken, and turkey. They've got like a 150% tariff on eggs. They've got like a 250% tariff on peanut butter, 100% tariff on tobacco from America. It's like, let's be real about this. Canada is trying to put Canada first too. And just because the United States decides to not be taken advantage of because of that, that's what I think this is about here. That's really what I think this is about. It's not about illegal immigration. I think Trump really feels that Canada is ripping the United States off. And he could maybe use this opportunity to bully Canada into submission to become the 51st state. Who knows? But it's like, as far as Mexico goes, very supportive. And with China, I'd even be more hawkish on tariffs with China than where they currently are right now. And like the European Union, you look at the tariff that they have on our cars that we ship there. Their tariff is like 4 times as high on European cars that come to the United States versus cars that from America that go to the EU. Why are they taxing our companies 4 times as much? I thought this was all about free trade. Oh, well, it's only free trade if the United States does it. But if smaller countries decide to tariff the United States, well, then that's okay. Because that's just putting their country first. But then if Trump does it, it's racist and xenophobic and, the whole list of phobics. And because he wants to crater the American economy. But the big picture is Canada, don't think it's about border security. I think it's about something deeper. I do think it is about the unfair tariffs they have in place, but also trying to bully them into submission to become the 51st state. And, you talk about all the resources and the rare earth minerals that they have in the ground in Canada. That could be a big power play for the United States. Like I said, same thing with Greenland. all the rare earth minerals they have there. Look at what Trump's doing with Ukraine right now, trying to secure a deal with Ukrainians where we own like 50% or are entitled to 50% of all of the rare earth mineral exports that they have from Ukraine. It's like, obviously Trump wants the United States to be better positioned, not reliant on China or India or any of these other countries that in the time of economic or world crisis, they could cut our supply chain off and cripple the American economy. We need to make sure our economy is independent, but if we are going to be dependent on other countries, they need to align with our values. We need to make sure that in times of crisis, they're going to be on our side. But as far as Mexico goes, totally understand the tariffs there. Border security, stopping the fentanyl from coming over the border, stopping the cartels from controlling the border. It's as simple as that. And with China producing fentanyl, sending it here, ripping off American companies with the intellectual property that they have, and just the sheer number of jobs that are shipped overseas to China that are then in turn jobs that are lost here in America, that people in a China sweatshop are going to do it for, 1/100th of the price of an American worker. Speaking of that, let's talk about Apple. Apple is seeking relief from one of President Trump's tariffs on China. And they said that they're going to hire 20,000 new workers, produce AI servers in the United States, and will invest $500 billion over the next 4 years in America. Let's take a listen.
Dollars. That's the largest ever U.S. spending plan for the world's biggest company, and it comes with thousands of new jobs across multiple states. Now, as you mentioned, we knew this was coming as President Trump teased it on Friday, and then Apple CEO Tim Cook was at the White House on Thursday. Apple is spending 50% more this year in 2025 than it did during the first Trump term. So $500 billion over 4 years this time, 4 years, not 5 years like they usually do. 20,000 new jobs, a new AI server factory in Houston, Texas, and that's significant for Apple, who tends to farm out their AI server needs to third-party providers like AWS. Also, you got a new Detroit Academy, doubling their research and development fund. Now, Apple CEO Tim Cook says we're bullish on the future of American innovation, and we're proud to build on our long-standing U.S. investments. Now, Apple tends to roll out these type of massive U.S. investment plans every few years, but this is the biggest one yet, and it's also 45% more than what they committed during the Biden term in 2021. Now, some of this can be also attributed to the higher spend in this new AI arms race that we're in, where Apple has to keep up with everybody else who's boosting their AI spending by at least 20% this year. Apple also tells me, Maria, that they are now the largest customer of that $12 billion Arizona chip factory from TSMC, which also just started shipping chips last month. Remember that Apple stock, though, still underperforming this year, and that's because of concerns on those increased China tariff threats of another 10%. Now, they got a waiver last time. This time, you heard President Trump say, as great a negotiation.
So obviously, we're seeing that American companies are willing to invest money in America. Apple, one of the largest companies in the world, very bullish on American innovation. And they should be. They should be grateful for the opportunity that America gave them. Anybody who's able to build a business in America, they should be grateful for the American economy and what the structure of our American government allows individuals to do. The structure in which people are able to take their hard-earned dollars, risk that for greater rewards. They can put their money into the stock market to make a profit, or they can go out and develop a product. They can start a business. Some things that maybe you take for granted in other countries. Other countries where they tax the small business owner to death, where regulations are so complicated that it's almost impossible to own your own business. Be grateful for what America provided you. Reinvest in America. And this is exactly what we like to see, is Trump's tariffs are causing Apple to really double down. Now, would they have most likely put an investment into the United States? Of course they would have. But I think we're going to see even more investment because there are going to be, businesses are there to make money. They are there to innovate and to make profit. If all of a sudden you now have to pay a tariff when you bring your product from China here, and your profit margin almost disappears. Okay, well, what's the natural reaction? It's going to be, now you obviously can't just take all of your manufacturing you have in China, uproot it and bring it to the United States. That'd be almost impossible. And it would make it it's like you want to talk about iPhones being more expensive. Yeah, it's like if you think they're expensive already, they're going to be even more expensive. But there are things he can do at this point to reinvest, double down in America, even if it doesn't mean uprooting everything across the world. It also means doubling down, tripling down on the investment in the United States. America has been great. America is great, and it's going to continue to be great under President Trump's leadership, and really the deregulatory environment that we are in right now. But let me know, what are your thoughts? What do you think? With China, Canada, Mexico, do you think it's smart, strategic? And let me know, what are your thoughts? Why do you think Trump is going after Canada as hard as he is? You know, are these tariffs about trade, security, global influence, the 51st state, rare earth minerals? Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments, and let's talk about it. Let's have a good conversation about it. But don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Don't ever miss another video from our channel in the future. And until next time, we'll see you guys.